9/8, multiplication of decimals. I'm going to introduce multiplication of decimals by whole numbers, and I want to reinforce traditional method multiplication. So open your math journals to page 266. You need to solve the problems involving spinners, dice, and coins. Notice in problem 1 that the spinner is divided into 4 parts, but the 4 parts are not equal. Blue is actually 1/6 of the region. Now we're going to do multiplication problems. I want you to estimate the product and write a number model to show how they estimate it. You can do this on a regular sheet of paper, or you can do it on a whiteboard. So the first one's done for you. 9 times 18, we would round to 9 times 20 equals 180. 11 times 42, I would probably do 10 times 40 is 400. Correct. 22 times 76. Again, 22 would round to 20. 76 up to 80. 2 times 8 is 16. 2 zeros is 1600. Now they rounded it to 75, which would then give you 1500. 87 times 15, I would round 87 to 90, and I still would round 15 to 20, so that'd be 1800. Let's see what they did. They did the same thing. Next one, 28 times 49, I'd take 30 times 50. 3 times 5 is 15, 2 zeros, 1500. 53 times 78, 53 would round down to 50, 78 would round up to 80, so 5 times 8 is 40, 2 zeros, 4,000. 63 times 63, that'd be 60 times 60. 6 times 6 is 36, 2 zeros, 3,600. And 98 times 59, I would make that 100 times 60, 1 times 6 is 6, 3 zeros, I would do 6,000. The next one, 81 times 119, I do 80 times 100, which would be 8 times 1 is 8, 3 zeros, 8,000, and that's what they did. 45 times 188, well, I would do 50 times 200, 5 times 2 is 10, 3 zeros, 10,000. 72 times 414, well, I'd do 70 times 4, 7 times 4 is 28, 3 zeros, 28,000. And 609 times 684, I would round 609 down to 600, but I'd round 684 up to 700. 6 times 7 is 42, and then I would add the 4 zeros. Look at the top of journal page 268. It says Tony has 8 blocks. Each block is 1.2 centimeters high. If she stacks the blocks, what will the height of the stack be? Well, instead of adding 1.28 times, I would take 1.2 times 8. Now, if I took 8 times 2, that's 16. I'd carry my 1 and then do 8 times 1 is 8 plus 1 is 9. Well, I know 1 times 8 would only be 8. So it only makes sense my decimal point would go in one place. And it does, because in multiplying decimals, if the decimal moves in one place from where it normally would be, I would move it in also one place in my answer. Now that makes sense. Okay, so you could have used repeated addition. Again, 1.2 plus 1.2 plus 1.28 times does equal 9.6. You could multiply 8 and 1 and then add up 0.28 times. I approached it as a multiplication problem. And again, why are 96 and 0.96 not reasonable answers? Because 1.2 is less than the number 2, so the answer must be less than 16. So 96 is not a reasonable answer. And because 1.2 is greater than 0.96, 0.96 is too small, so the answer must be the 9.6 as I showed you on the other page. In this lesson, you're going to learn to find the product, the answer of decimals by multiplying the numbers as if they were whole numbers and then using estimation to place the decimal point in the answer. So to practice estimating products, you should look at the following problems. 11 times 2.8, 110 times 2.8, and 11 times 0.28. Which problem is most likely to have the answer 30.8? Well, let's see. This first one, I would probably say 11 times 2.8 is close to 3. So I'd go 11 times 3 is 33. The next one, the 110, I would probably round to 100. And again, 2.8 to 3. So 100 times 3, well, this answer would be 300. And the final one, 11 times 0.28. Well, that's not even half. So I know 11, or I'd round that to 10, times half, 0.50, would be about 5.0. So as I look at which answer is likely be closest to 30.8, well, the number that is, which is the first one, 11 times 2.8. How do I know? Well, I just explained it to you. I estimated the numbers for the problems, and the other problems were either much larger or much smaller. So to summarize the use of estimation to place the decimal point in the answer when multiplying, again, we look at 6 times 3.7. Well, again, 6 is 6, and 3.7 is about 6 times 4, because this number is almost 4. So my answer would be 24. We multiply the factors as though they were whole numbers. So 6 times 37, we would say, is 222. Now, to place the decimal point in the answer, we have to look, how are these two numbers close to each other? Well, they're not the way they're written now. But if I needed to put a decimal point in to make them closer, I wouldn't put it at the end, because that would be 222. If I move it in one place, that's 22.2. Now that makes sense. So that's where I'd place my decimal. You need to complete journal pages 268 and 269. You can compare your answers with another friend, or when you get done with 9-8-268, go up into the answer key and check it. If there's any you don't understand, make sure you come back to the table to me and I will help you with it. If you did those all correctly, then go ahead and go on to page 269. Finish those and then also go correct them in the answer key. You'll do Math Box 9.8 on page 267. These are good, if not great, review questions for you on the skills that we've been practicing all year. When you've completed it, go up to the answer key, correct it again, then come back to me if there's any problems. And the final thing you will do is the study link for 9-8. Please remember to do the practice at the bottom.